Gregor Forrester, Lord of Ironrath. Lord Forrester is Lord of strong Northern House and bannerman of the House of Stark. As a youth, he famously arm-wrestled Galbert Glavor for the privilege of becoming the man's squire. Glavor later joked that he'd lose the match all over again. Gregor married Alyssa Branfield, a daughter of southern Targaryen loyalists, before Robert Baratheon seized the Iron Throne. Gregor ascended to lordship after his father died at the Trident, has led House Forrester during the 16 years since. Lady Alyssa Forrester, Lord Forrester's wife. Alyssa Forrester was born to House Branfield, a minor southern house that was destroyed when the Targaryen dynasty fell. She had been married to Gregor for many years when Robert's rebellion signaled her family's demise. Yet she nonetheless felt conflicted between her father's loyalties and her husband's. In time, Alyssa came to feel the Ironrath as her true home, and she embraced her role as the Forrester's matriarch. She has silently sworn that she will never see her family destroyed again. Roderick Forrester, firstborn son. Lord Forrester's eldest son, Roderick, was trained at an early age to shoulder the burdens of leadership. In truth, he was built for the role, strong, charismatic, and formidable on the battlefield. When Robb Stark called his banners to war, Lord Forrester asked Roderick to stay behind and protect Ironrath, but Roderick would have none of it. Instead, he rode off at his father's side and led the Forrester cavalry with such valour that his name came to be feared amongst the ranks of Lannister soldiers. Asher Forrester, exiled second son. Asher had always been a rebellious youth, brawling in taverns, sleeping with whores, and finding ways to raise his father's ire. But his life took a dark turn when, at age 17, he fell in love with Gwyn Whitehill, the eldest daughter of his father's bitter rival. Bloodshed ensued and Lord Forrester faced a grim choice: go to war or exile Asher across the narrow sea. He chose the latter. Asher remains in Essos to this day, living as a sellsword, trying not to think about the life he left behind. Mira Forrester, eldest daughter. Mira had always been fond of Ironrath, but Lady Forrester, wanting her eldest daughter to learn the ways of the southern court, arranged for Mira to serve as handmaiden to Margaery Tyrell. To Mira's great surprise, she enjoyed attending a Margaery at Highgarden, and followed her to King's Landing with enthusiasm. Life in the capital has not been easy for Mira, as her straightforward northern ways are often at odds with the subtleties. of court life. But she also has more guile than she realizes. Ethan Forrester, third-born son. Whereas his oldest brothers were natural warriors, Ethan always found himself drawn to pursuits of the mind, particularly music and books. He also bore a great love for the towering trees of Ironrath, a love he still shares with his twin sister, Talia. Ethan was just a boy when House Forrester joined the War of the Five Kings, but by war's end he had been thrust into the role he was unprepared for. On cool autumn evenings, Ethan still can be heard playing his lute in the Ironwood Grove. Talia Forrester, second-born daughter. During her fourth pregnancy, Lady Forrester dreamed she would birth a daughter with a voice like the summer rain, but as fate would have it, she gave birth to a boy. The infant, Ethan, wailed for hours until Lady Forrester entered a second labour, this time birthing a girl. She named the girl Talia, after her own mother, and from then on Ethan hardly ever cried. Her dream came true, for there's no sound of Ironrath more lovely than that of Talia singing as her brother plays the lute. Rion Forrester, fourth-born son, the last of the Forrester children. Rion grew up idolizing his elder siblings and spent many an hour chasing Ethan and Talia through the grove. His youth had been pleasant and shielded from responsibility, but recently Rion's innocence has begun to fade. When the war began, Rion was too young to understand why Roderick and his father were leaving home, but the grim realities of a house at war has been impossible to avoid, and Rion now asks questions for which his siblings have no easy answers. Gerald Tuttle, Squire to Lord Forrester. Gerald has raised on stories of heroism about the likes of Arthur Dwayne and Simeon Styles. Though the son of a pig farmer, he has always aspired one day to become a warrior himself. With the help of his uncle, Duncan, who had risen from low-born origins to become Castellan of Ironrath, Gareth found work in the Lord Forrester stables, rising through the ranks to eventually be named his squire. Gareth has served Lord Forrester throughout the long months in King Rob's army, and is ready to be a warrior in his own right. Duncan Tuttle, Castellan of Ironrath. As a boy, Duncan showed such talent for managing his family's farm that everyone assumed he'd one day take over. But Duncan was fated to run more than fields in a pig pen. In time, he struck up an unlikely friendship with Gregor Forrester, the heir to the House Forrester. The two grew close. When Gregor became lord, he named Duncan his Castellan. Many eyebrows were raised, but Duncan proved himself worthy and has served the house well in long years since. Sir Royland de Gore, Ironrath's Master-at-Arms. Royland de Gore joined Lord Forrester's army after his family was wiped out by Ironborn during Balon Greyjoy's rebellion. De Gore had a natural grasp of military tactics and strategy, and came to play a crucial role in the siege of Pike that ended the war. In the months that followed, King Robert awarded Royland a knighthood, and Lord Forrester asked him to serve as Ironrath's Master-at-Arms. Sir Royland still holds the position and is known for his military expertise, as well as his legendary temper. Maester Oritigrin. Maester of Ironrath. Originating from a minor house in the Vale, Maester Oritigrin studied at the Citadel in the hope of being assigned to the Eyrie. But by the time he'd earned enough links in his chain to graduate from Acolyte, John Arryn had been murdered and the South was in turmoil. The Citadel ultimately assigned Maester Oritigrin to Ironrath, where he soon came to respect the Forrester's family's honour and integrity. He now serves the Forresters with pride and has become a trusted advisor to the Lord. Malcolm Branfield, Lady Forrester's brother. As a young man, Malcolm was the black sheep of the family. He liked to roam the countryside in the style of a hedge knight, refusing his father's offers of marriage and lands. Malcolm fought bravely alongside his brothers when House Branfield fell, yet he and his sister were the only two survivors. Malcolm now lives with Lady Alyssa's new family at Ironrath, though he tends to disappear for weeks at a stretch. Malcolm has fathered no children, thus he is the last of the Branfield line. That's kind of depressing. Ironrath, ancient seat of House Forrester. An imposing stronghold surrounded by towering iron trees, Ironrath marks the ancestral home of House Forrester. Built over 15 years ago by Cedric Forrester and his triplet sons, Ironrath is a testament to the strength and endurance of Ironwood itself. More than one visitor has called Ironrath the most striking keep in the north. Even Ned Stark was said to be envious. Ironrath sits on the edge of the largest ironwood forest in Westeros, which has proven to be a strategic advantage for the house.